Are ab workouts a complete waste of time? This is what I wondered when I was a skinny fat guy many years ago with a soft midsection, zero definition, zero abs. So I started hammering crunches every day in my bedroom when I was a teenager living at home with my father. And guess what? After doing that for weeks and months on end, nothing had changed. So here's what you need to know. If you're skinny fat, ab workouts are not going to fix you. And if you're doing them wrong, they are a complete waste of time. So if you want real, visible abs and you want to stop spinning your wheels once and for all, then here's what actually works. And I'm going to share that with you coming up. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Brad here, online fitness coach and YouTube guy from Melbourne, Australia. I'm currently in London at the moment where it's grey and overcast. Typical day in London. I used to be a skinny fat guy, just like most of you guys watching this, for my teenage years and for my 20s, and I was very, very frustrated by that. I started getting into strength training around 10 to 12 years ago, completely transformed my physique, have done a bunch of photo shoots and fitness competitions and bodybuilding and stuff like that. And then I got into Muay Thai kickboxing, been doing Muay Thai kickboxing for about 7 or 8 years. I lived in Thailand. And then most recently doing Hyrox competitions and things like that, and preparing for Hyrox competitions. I did one just before my 40th birthday a few months ago in Brisbane, Australia, and I'll show you some photos of that. So I've had my own training journey and I've achieved a six-pack and have maintained it for a good 10 years. So I speak with a lot of authority on this. And also I've watched hundreds and hundreds of videos on YouTube just to see what everyone is talking about when it comes to building this mysterious six-pack. Okay, so let's look at the first question here. Why train abs in the first place? Why do we care so much about abs? Why as a culture are we obsessed with ab training? Now this seems like a very straightforward answer to a very straightforward question. You might be thinking, mate, you're a teenager watching this, or you're in your 20s watching this. You're like, mate, I'm training abs because I want to pick up chicks, mate. I want to have more sex appeal. When I rip my shirt off at the beach, I want more people to notice me when I'm walking down the beach. And there's nothing wrong with that, as having that as a goal. Mate, I've lived my teenage years. I've lived my 20s. I've lived that life. I know how that feels. I'll be honest with you though, that wasn't my main goal. Having a six pack and being super lean was definitely not for the primary ambition of trying to attract more girls or having more eyeballs look at me at the beach and having more people in general notice me. The main motivation for me, my friends, was these eyeballs here. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I did not like what I saw. I looked soft, I looked weak, I had a soft midsection, I had no chest, I had skinny arms. I hated it with a passion. I really did. And every time I looked in the mirror, I did not like what I looked at. These eyeballs here were the ones that I was trying to convince the most, to feel better about myself, to have more confidence in myself, to have more self-esteem. I didn't like people taking photos of me. God forbid, I couldn't even make a video like this in my teenage years or my 20s because I was so petrified of cameras, video cameras, anything like that. I didn't like it. So for me, training abs was a very personal thing. It was more or less about feeling better about myself and what I looked at when I saw myself in the mirror. But I need to tell you guys up front, straight to the point, there are thousands of videos you'll find on YouTube that all offer you the one strategy, the one piece of advice, the secret, the special exercises that you need to do, the special diet that you need to be on to have ripped abs. A lot of people taking steroids and not telling you that they're taking steroids, right? I'll be honest with you, as an ordinary dude from Melbourne that's never taken steroids in my life and having turned 40 only a few months ago, I'll give it to you straight up. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've maintained my abs and my six pack and my transformation for about 10 years now. Your abs are just like any other muscle group. There is no fucking secret here. If you want to build great biceps, if you want to build great calves, if you want to build glutes or lats or any other muscle group, you guys know this. What do you got to do? You've got to train your biceps through doing things like curls. If you want to build a great back, you've got to do exercises like deadlifting and lat pull downs and pull-ups and chin-ups and those kinds of things. You need to do hypertrophy-based training on any other muscle group if you want that muscle group to get bigger and thicker and more defined. Your abs are no different. Your abs, mate, are just another muscle group. They need to be subjected to hypertrophy-based training. There is no fucking secret here. That is the truth. Hypertrophy-based training for abs twice a week. If you don't train them, they're not going to grow. Some people say you need to reduce your body fat percentage to see your abs. That is true. But that is also true for any other part of your body as well. If you have a high body fat percentage, 20%, 30%, 40% for guys, you're not going to see any muscle group for that matter. If you have a high body fat percentage, you're not going to see any muscle definition anywhere all over your physique, including your abs. If you reduce your body fat percentage down, which everyone talks about doing, to see your abs, then yes, if you want to see definition, muscle definition anywhere on your body, you need to have a lower body fat percentage. If you want to see vascularity or veins popping out anywhere on your body, you need to have a lower body fat percentage. If you want to see your abs, you need to have a lower body fat percentage. So what I'm trying to say here, my friends, your abs should not be put on a pedestal. People put abs on a pedestal. They say abs need to be treated differently. They need these special exercises. You need to do this differently to your abs. You don't, mate. You don't need to do anything special or unique with your abs. You treat your abs like any other muscle group. Simple. There's a concept called progressive tension overload. I'm sure you guys have heard of it before. I didn't know about it until my late 20s. I was a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to learning about progressive tension overload. It is a fundamental concept in science. It's a fundamental concept in hypertrophy training and strength training, whereby very simply it says that if you demand a little bit more from your muscles week after week after week, you are giving your muscles a reason to grow. Progressive tension overload is the reason for your muscles to be forced to grow. It is that straightforward, my friends. If you subject your ab muscles to progressive tension overload, just like any other muscle group, like your biceps, for example, or your quads, for example, then they will grow. But it's no different to literally going into the gym and taking a 5 kilo or a 12-pound dumbbell and doing curls every Monday for 6 months and wondering why your arms haven't gotten bigger, right? Now that seems like a silly idea. It's no different to what you're doing with your abs. Most of you guys are doing that with your abs, right? You're doing hundreds of crunches and wondering why your abs are not getting bigger, because you're not forcing them to grow. You need to do exercises where you're forcing them to grow week after week after week, and we're going to talk about what those exercises are later on in this video. The second reason for why you need to be training your abs and your core, which almost nobody talks about on YouTube, for some reason this comes back to basic anatomy. Your abs is like your body's natural weight belt, okay? So some people use a belt when they're doing squats and when they're doing deadlifting, right? So your abs and your core is like a natural version of a belt, a natural weight belt that stabilizes your core, that stabilizes your spine, that also keeps your organs from falling out of you, which is true. If you didn't, hypothetically, if you didn't have any abs, my friends, this is what you would look like. You would be a slumped over, unstable, herniated mess. Your spine from top to bottom would be completely herniated if you didn't have abs at all. Some real examples of why you need to keep training your abs and your core is when you're doing movements like the deadlift, as I mentioned just before, you're bracing your core and you're bracing your abs to be able to execute a deadlift correctly. Okay, you're creating this, what they call intra-abdominal pressure, and you create effective intra-abdominal pressure by having a strong set of abs and core. Okay, so you use your abs and core to brace for deadlifts, and also strong obliques, which are those framing muscles around your six pack, I call them framing muscles around your six pack. Your obliques reduce the rotational stress on your spine. That is the primary reason why you have obliques and why you need to train your obliques, to help reduce the rotational stress on your spine. I'll give you another practical example. I have a background in Muay Thai kickboxing. I've been doing Muay Thai now for about 7 or 8 years or so, maybe 9 years. And so when you're doing Muay Thai, having a six pack really means nothing when it comes to Muay Thai training. What matters the most is how efficiently you can rotate your torso to generate torque, right? And that generating of torque and rotating your torso occurs with your oblique muscles. Your oblique muscles are responsible for creating that torque, which then helps generate rotational speed and striking power to hit your target. If you have really weak obliques, then you're gonna have very weak and sloppy roundhouse kicks. If you have a very weak core and abs, then your strikes are gonna be very weak, very sloppy, and therefore I suggest training your abs, training your core from a martial arts point of view to have very strong roundhouse kicks and very strong strikes. I understand that there is a kinetic chain involved here, but if we were to zoom into the kinetic chain of how we create power with our kicks, your obliques play a huge role in the rotational or the twisting torque or the twisting power that's involved in your kicks. So you might be wondering, well, how do I train abs? Okay, so as I said before, training your abs should be treated like any other muscle group. There are no special ab exercises. There's no special treatment for abs. This is how you do it. You want to train your abs twice per week. This is what I do. I typically train my abs after my major compound session. So if I'm doing leg day, if I'm doing squats, if I'm doing hack squats or Bulgarian split squats or lunges or whatever it is I'm doing for my legs, then after all of that, I will do a quick ab workout, okay? If I do chest day, like bench press or whatever it is, then I'll do my chest, maybe my shoulders, and then I do abs at the very end. So typically I do my ab training sessions at the very end of my session as kind of like finishing off my session. Sometimes I do my ab session at the beginning, sometimes I do abs on a separate day, but usually I do my ab session at the end of my compound movements for the day, for that particular muscle group that I'm training. I typically do 3 to 4 working sets per exercise. I usually have around 90 seconds rest between those sets, and I typically time that on my watch, and I'm pretty sharp with that. No more than 2 minutes rest between sets. And I train pretty close to failure when I'm doing my ab exercises. So usually, sometimes failure, but typically 1 or 2 reps left in the tank after every set. And then the major thing that I deploy is tracking that progress. So I use an app called FitNotes, and I track my ab progressions inside FitNotes so that I know week after week, I'm trying to get my abs a little bit stronger week after week on specific ab exercises. When I do cable crunch, for example, and I do, for example, 80 or 85 kilos or 170, 180 pounds on the cable crunch for maybe 12 reps, that if I hit the top of the rep range of 12 reps, then I'm gonna try and add an extra 5 kilos to that cable crunch for the following week so that I can then try and hit the top of the rep range at that slightly heavier weight. So my cable crunch, I'm trying to get stronger on that every single week, week after week. Now, there are times where I plateau, there are times where I can't add extra weight because I'm overly tired or exhausted, but that is my ambition. I'm trying to get stronger week after week, and the only way I know that I'm getting stronger is if I'm tracking that progress using some kind of app like FitNotes, right? Which is a completely free app that you can go and download from the Play Store. The other piece is that you got to be patient. A lot of people ask, well, how long does this take? It takes around 6 to 12 months is a good amount of time to run this formula, right? To start to see results with your abs. And most people watching this, unfortunately, don't have the fucking patience. You guys don't have the patience, right? If you honestly just apply this stuff and wait long enough, then you'll actually start to see results. You have to be patient. You can't rush this. Track your progress, enjoy the process, try and get strong on the lifts, try and get strong on the ab workouts, try and add a little bit of weight week after week, and have a little bit of fucking patience. And I'm telling you, mate, it's gonna pay off for you. Give it 6 to 12 months, it's gonna pay off. I'll tell you something very quickly. When I took that photo, when I was lean, low body fat percentage, and I had no abs, and I was very upset when I took that photo, I started the process of lean bulking for 11 months. 11 months. Then I ran this formula, that one I'm sharing with you now. I ran this formula for 11 months. I got to the end of my bulk, my body fat percentage was high again. I was like, fuck, what am I doing? I'm back to where I started. But then I didn't realize I was building my abs underneath that fat during my lean bulk. And then I went to a shred for another 11 months. I'll show you my transition, 11-month bulk, 11-month shred. Then I went on to compete, and then I won first place in 2 separate divisions in a competition that judges your abs, right? In a natural federation, not taking any steroids. I've never taken any steroids in my life. I've just turned 40, never taken any TRT, no peptides, zero. Doing this 100% naturally. So the point I'm trying to make here, my friends, is you got to be patient, you got to trust the process, and you got to track your fucking progress. If you don't track anything, you have no way of determining whether you're getting stronger week after week after week. And you got to do this for 6 to 12 months, at least 6 to 12 months. All right? Calm down now. I'm going to flash up on your screen an example program that I followed myself when I was going through the process of bulking for 11 months to build my abs. I did 3 exercises. Now I love doing hanging leg raises, 3 to 4 sets. I love doing cable wood choppers. It's great for your obliques. I like doing weighted cable crunch, right? Because the weighted cable crunch, I can add a little bit of extra weight through this concept called progressive tension overload to try and challenge my abs with a little bit of extra weight week after week after week, trying to hit the top of the rep range for a little bit of extra weight, progressive tension overload using the cable crunch. And with leg raises, if you hit the top of the rep range for doing leg raises, then you can just get a dumbbell, clasp it between your feet and start using a dumbbell to lift a dumbbell. And then slowly add weight to that dumbbell whenever you hit the top of the rep range, whenever you're doing hanging leg raises. You must do progressive tension overload when you're doing these exercises. Must. The second program I want to share with you is one that I've been doing for many years, and that's ab-wall rollouts. And I usually do that at the very beginning of my ab session. I have my own ab-wall roller, and I do 3 to 4 sets, around 8 to 12 or 10 to 12 reps per set. And I have around a 60 to 90 second rest, sometimes a 2-minute rest between those sets. Ab-wall rollouts are a killer. They're amazing. You should fall in love with them, but they're very, very hard to do. If you can't do ab-wall rollouts, then come back to it. But I do strongly encourage you guys to give it a shot and stick to it, and let me know in 12 months from now how you go with ab-wall rollouts. I'm telling you guys, you will thank me later. I do ab-wall rollouts whenever I'm traveling, and I take my ab-wall roller with me all over the world. It is the one thing that I always do consistently, and it's how I've been able to maintain my abs for almost 10 years now. Long-term mindset and reality checks when it comes to building abs. So as I said before, 6 to 12 months minimum. Stick this out. Be patient, be consistent, but you don't have to be perfect, mate. You're not going to be perfect doing this. I was not perfect doing this, but I was consistent, right? I was consistent and I got there in the end, and I still do it to this day. I still do these ab exercises to this day. You got to fix your entire body composition. Don't just focus on your abs. It looks a little bit silly when you got nice big abs, but then you got skinny arms and skinny legs, right? This whole thing for a skinny fat dude, you guys watching this, is about fixing your whole body, not just fixing your abs. So I'll link down below my book that I wrote. It's called Push Pull Legs. It's a program that I followed, that I built for myself, that helped transform my physique and get me in the best shape of my life. There are ab exercises in there as well, my little ab program in there as well. And that book will help you transform your entire physique, not just your abs. So guys, if you don't get my book, no problems, but just focus on transforming your whole physique. Don't just focus on transforming your abs. At the end of the day, is it worth it? Yes, 100%. Training your abs is 100% worth it, because it will fit into the broader picture of a whole body transformation, okay? Having a very well-defined set of abs and core and obliques really works nicely when you transform your entire physique with a great chest and a great set of like deltoids and back and everything else. I'll show you some photos that I took literally a few days ago. I'm wearing my jeans in the change room. Honestly, guys, like, I don't track my calories and my macros anymore. I do make sure I get plenty of protein every day. I talk about how much protein I get in other videos, which I'll link up down below. But honestly, my friends, this is one of those journeys that you will never regret. You have to do this for yourself. Don't do this for anyone else. Don't do this for Instagram. Don't do this for fucking TikTok. Do this for yourself. When I did this for myself, it changed my life. And now I make videos to help you guys try and figure it out for yourself. I am just an ordinary guy. I'm nobody special. I really am not. I'm just a guy from Melbourne. And it took me a while to get my transformation. I worked night shift when I was doing all of this, and I struggled. Look, you know what? It was worth the struggle. It really was. Because now I'm in a position where I can help you guys get out of your own struggle. I really mean that. You can make this work. You've got this. Just make it work. Have patience. Trust the process. Track your training. Don't post your shit online to try and get likes and validation from other people. Do this for yourself. It's one of the biggest gifts that you can give yourself. And I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.